Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, as you see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhollow today, where we'll be relaxing as per usual. I hope you can't hear like any music in the background, because currently I have Genshin Impact open, that sort of thing. And as it turns out, I was gonna, continue on with a new update, with new story quest and that sort of thing. So I started a cutscene, and then I was like, no, I should record Animal Crossing. But luckily it's a cutscene which seems to have no music at the point right now. But anyway, hello there everyone. We're now in Fawnhollow, 6:03 PM on Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. Yeah, lots of big updates. As I said yesterday, Genshin Impact, big update today. Fawnhallow, new Archon out. That's not going to mean anything to you if you don't play the game. I got insanely lucky. I got two 5-stars in my temple. I pulled her, it was a guarantee. And then I lost the 50-50 technically again, and I pulled my first Diluc. And again, that makes no sense to you. Just, okay, if you don't play Genshin Impact, just be like, whoa, you got super lucky. And I did. Anyway, there will be some ambient music in the background, which is, amusingly enough, it's actually, I don't think, the first time it's happened in an Animal Crossing episode. But no one called me out on it the first time it happened. I don't even remember what episode it was. It was at some point during the Sumeru arc. When I got Sino, that's all I really know. And at some point, I can't remember what I was doing. So I guess this is Audi's. I can't remember what I was doing, but I was just like standing in the overworld or something on my pause screen, and I paused because I was like, oh, that'll probably like stop any music or something like that, so you won't hear anything. But as it turns out, you can very, very faintly hear the music. I don't know if you can hear it now, but presumably I'm talking loud enough, and Animal Crossing is loud enough to sort of overwrite that fact. I don't know what fact that is, the music is in general. I mean, background music sort of is like a underrepresented is not the word I wanted. Underappreciated, I suppose, form of music. A lot of people, it's easy to think about the music as in, the music. When people think of music, I often think about, like songs, your favourite like rock and roll artist or pop artist or your favourite musical artist in general. And normally those songs are to be consumed, I suppose, as they are by themselves, right? As a standalone sort of media property is not the right word, but form of media to enjoy as it is. There's not, if anything, breaking it down like this, it seems a bit strange to create a form of media which is not meant to be appreciated sort of like directly. It's meant to be appreciated in tandem with something else, and that's basically what background music is. I don't really work in like media creation or anything like that, but I certainly must assume that creating background music is not an entirely different skill set, but has a different skill set, I suppose, to composing music in of itself. Like the difference between writing a pop song and then writing a poppy themed, pop inspired like background music song is different, surely. Like because background music, I suppose, there is like I guess if anything, to put it in more musical terms, I imagine it's like the difference between writing a melody and a harmony. The melody is certainly one thing about not bold and brash, but the tune that I suppose that everyone hears and carries. But the harmonies are also equally important as things to support the main melody. And that's what background music is, right? It's there to sort of support the main going-ons or what's happening, the film you're watching, the TV show, the game you're playing and stuff like that. But it's one which goes, I think, much more underappreciated than, not than people would lead you to believe, but then it should be, It certainly is this sort of like a different goal. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to get at here, right? Because I'd imagine the main concept behind background music is, of course, for it to support and elevate whatever scene it's in. It's not something which is necessarily trying to stand in its own right. That's something it can completely disregard, whatever it is. I mean, most of the time I think, I suppose I would argue that good background music is something which also sounds good in its own right, but I don't think it necessarily has to be, because what if it's like a very sort of ambient themed thing, Audi's photo apparently. I think that's a third Audi's photo we got. If it's meant to be like some sort of ambiance related thing and has like vague sound effects here and there, it's like, is that something that you would argue stands on its own as a piece of music? And I think it would be fair if you said no, to be perfectly honest. It's not the most outrageous thing. To to be like, I don't want to sit there and listen to ambient noises or something for the next 20 minutes. Totally fair. But it's interesting to think about, you know, how I suppose background music should support it. I mean, of course, we have a lot of famous music composers who do background music, you know, like Hans Zimmer, right? And who is that other famous one? Odyssey. Composer's not the right word, but Strauss? That's not what I meant. Who's the person who wrote 2001 Space Odyssey soundtrack, isn't it? Kubrick? That's not right. He's a director, surely. Was it Richard Strauss? What? No, that doesn't make sense. The score, that's a word, not the... Alex North. That's not the person I thought it was. I mean, music scoring in general, I suppose, the movie scoring in general is very different, isn't it? I wonder... Well, I don't know if it's the right perspective to look at things and be like, is it easier or harder? I feel like that's sort of like a reductive thing to do, as if like the worth of something is fully reliant, I suppose, on the amount of effort it took to create something. There's a lot of things which take a lot of effort to create, but, you know, certainly I would argue do not hold the same level of artistic depth to people than other things might do, which could be significantly easier. Of course, you know, the same goes with the inverse as well. Yeah, I don't know. It's just interesting. You know what this reminds me of? It's back in the day, there was this... I don't know why I randomly remember this comment, and honestly, I'm going to tell you the story, and you're going to be like, why did you tell me the story? And I don't really have a good response to you, except for I'm just telling you because we've got, you know, 15 more minutes to talk about. But back in the day, there was a minus Bernie Friendship is Magic, you know, the peak of its, like, fandomness. There was a group of people who came together to be like, let's make a fan-made episode on My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. And they did. I don't know how many people worked on a project, to be perfectly honest. They kudos to them. They made it. You know, regardless of how good or bad it necessarily is, the fact they come together, like, making like an animation project like that is no easy task, especially considering that probably most of those people were doing it in their spare time. It's one thing for a big animation studio to make it, I suppose, but they're also doing it for their job. It's kind of what they do literally every day. People doing it, I suppose, as a hobby after, you know, their main job or whatever have you, the rest of their life going on, and not even necessarily not getting paid for it at all, just a labour of love thing, is a very remarkable feat, especially, you know, in the situation of just a group of people coming together online to do it. It's not like you're going through rigorous, like, interview processes or anything like that, right? It's not like you got the funding of a business behind you. So it's very impressive. So you might be like, how was the episode? It's okay, you know. It's probably better than some of the worst episodes of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, but like in a different way. Like, it's interesting because the way it falls down, I think, compared to like actual episodes, and I think this kind of goes to any so like fan made versus actual made creation, is a lot of things like polish tends to be quite a big thing, and some of it I distinctly remember the episode was very strange, like story wise, because move the mic stand, I didn't expect it to be so loud. I remember one key part of the episode is they go to like the Powerpuff Girls world or something, and then meet the Powerpuff Girls, and then they just come back. I genuinely don't really know plot wise why they did that. It's just set for just a bit of fun. But one thing I remember doing it is during it was reading a load of comments, because one of the people who made the background music, I suppose, for the show was like a really popular artist at the time within that fandom, and I remember the conversations being like, is it me? Is someone along the lines of, is it me, or is the background music like really busy or something like that? I'm not sure if busy is the right word, but if something like the background music doesn't feel right. I mean, it was an interesting conversation about, you know, the difference between background music, because this person obviously, I assume, created mostly like non-background music. It was for like something to, of course, be enjoyed by itself, but this might have been his first foray into actually creating background music. And, you know, the difficulty in, I suppose, achieving its aims, or the difference in the aims for music was interesting, because that's, you know, after reading a comment, I remember I listened to it and being like, yeah, you know, you're right, this background music doesn't sound like background music, and I couldn't really put my finger on why. But it's just sort of like interesting to think about. Especially nowadays, I feel like I listen to background music significantly more, mainly just like video game background music, which might just be video game music in general, because it's not always like video game... Okay, because background music kind of inherently in the name implies it's going on in the background, thus it requires something in the foreground. A lot of video game music, sometimes it just... I mean, I guess you could argue the game itself is going on in the foreground, but it feels like, you know, it doesn't really count unless there's like dialogue or some other audio thing going on. Oh, I didn't know this place had bell rocks. Interesting. What was I saying? Inherently, I can't even remember what I was talking about anymore. I actually genuinely just forgot what I was talking about. It's just completely gone from memory. I know I was talking about show background music and how it feels. Oh yeah, okay. So a lot of background music, I think, background quote music for video games is just like it's music itself. And you could argue, I suppose, the video game is going on in the foreground, so it should still be called background music. And I think that's a fair argument. But at the same time, it feels different to, you know, a situation where background music is, you know, like in movie dialogue or something going on with music behind it. I suppose it's just... even though playing a video game is something going on in the foreground, I think it feels kind of different from movies where it's more like it's the audio, which I suppose is in the foreground rather than a visual thing. To be fair, video games can have like sound effects, I suppose, in the foreground, but if anything, sound effects feel like they're taking a supporting role. Well, what I'm saying is in a movie scene, I suppose, the background music feels like the harmony and then the dialogue feels like the melody in most part. But for a video game, you know, it's more like it's a very quiet, silent melody even. it's a visual thing, you know. I guess because it's using a different sense of the human body, it feels like it's got like a layer of detachment to it. Whether it legitimately does or not, I don't really know, but anyway. So my knowledge of background music, I suppose, comes from that in the first place, which I don't know. It feels like there's a distinction between video game music and background music, but is there really? I don't really know. Now I'm saying it out loud. I don't think so. I think background music should just be an umbrella term for anything which is not the main focal point of whatever media property you're engaging with. Which brings up an interesting point that maybe if you had like background music for like a tasting, like a wine tasting or session or something, that is considered background music. I don't really know. How does Wikipedia define background music? It's probably got like a background music. Like where does it originate from? Musical performance and music is not intended to be the primary focus of potential listeners, but its content, character, and volume level are deliberately chosen to affect behavioural and emotional responses of humans, such as constant blah 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 blah. That's basically kind of what I said. Incidental music. It's for plays. Makes sense? In which the songs are... It doesn't actually say what incidental music is. Music in a play, television program, radio program, or video game. Excuse me. That is not primarily musical. It's term less frequently applied to film music because that's normally referred to as a film score or soundtrack. So it's not primarily musical. Interesting way to put it. Intended to add atmosphere. I think that's probably like the best way I would describe background music is there for like atmospheric reasons rather than, I don't know, sound, audio, entertainment reasons. Furniture music. Okay, Paul, when is furniture music used? Originally played by live performers. Is this like, you know, if you go to like a jazz bar or jazz lounge or something, this is the music they're playing? I can't really tell. It's not very fleshed out, this Wikipedia article. Elevator music? No, that's a sort of jazz bar music. During phone calls when I'm placed on hold. I never really thought about it. Yeah, I guess like hold music is background music, isn't it? Which is even weirder because you're not listening to anything, I suppose, while you're on hold, really. I mean, you might be listening to an automated voice going like, please hold. Your call is very important to us. Please hold. Something like that. Corporate music. Made to work for company presentations. Not to be confused with corporate pop. Music produced by corporations that blurs the line between independent and mainstream. Okay. Video game music. Soundtrack of video games. Website music. MySpace. That brings me back to the days when websites used to have music that just like starts playing automatically. For some reason, I have like a flashback of a memory where I feel like the Tracy Beaker website used to play the Tracy Beaker soundtrack as soon as you opened it. It doesn't matter what may come my way. Believe me now, I will win someday. I'm not going to catch 5 fish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or once I caught a fish alive. I don't know if these are particularly easy to do quickly. Maybe I should catch some fish. I don't really want to because it's hard to talk, I suppose, while catching fish. Oh, let's go to Brewster. Why not? I don't even drink coffee, but here I am every day. I suppose headcanon-wise, I'm drinking tea from Brewster. Group fitness music. It's interesting how that's an entire thing by itself. Internet-delivered background music. Lounge music. Isn't this the same as elevator sort of music? Easy. Oh, Celeste's here. Light music. I don't really know the difference anymore. Background non-music. Audio content was licensed for use in commercials. Oh, this is probably like ambient noise, right? Like, you know, like a busy cafe or something. I don't know why this is a list of companies who provide it here, but it was very strange. I'll do just that. Historical devices. Ambient music. Yeah, background music. I don't know. British English piped music? I've literally never heard that term before. Piped music. Is that like an old term?
Piped music.
This is pipe music. I thought maybe it's like pipehead music, and I'd be like, oh, you know, that rings a bell or something. Pipe music is recorded music played in some supermarkets. Oh, pre-recorded background music played through loudspeakers in a public place. Literally never heard that term before. We play music in a public place. Shout out to I didn't really come up with that parody. It was more like a Tom Scott original. We flew a kite in a public place. Something like that, right? We flew a kite in a public place. It just sort of comes to mind. Anywho's it, what's it? Low battery, apparently. I'll charge these afterwards. I don't know. I mean, Animal Crossing. It's got background music, I suppose, right now. Animal Crossing background music's fantastic. It's very sort of relaxing ambiance. I don't know if it still applies in this game, but does it also still change over weather? Because it used to be a thing in the old games that, like, in sunny weather it'd be like whatever, then in rainy weather it'd be like, I can't remember, there's like more bells or something? Or maybe that was snowy weather. I don't know, but there was like a rainy, snowy, and a clear sky variation for each hour of a day. Is that how it goes in Animal Crossing? Is each hour of a day has a different soundtrack? Which I must imagine, but this soundtrack, 6 p.m. and New Horizons is the one I've listened to most. I don't know if that's still the case. I genuinely have never looked it up. New Horizons music. Animal Crossing. Full OST with timestamps. Let's have a look-see. Do not play this. Yeah, we do have all the things. And rain and snow. Yeah. Oh, sorry, that's the intro. Crazy, huh? Anyway, I think I'm going to round this episode off here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. I don't really know what we learned from this, but it's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope we can see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now. Okay, I'm going to stop that.